Hi everyone, this is Nivedan from Coffee and Startups. This is a place where we simplify the world of startups and we bring to you the latest and craziest stories from founders and their startups. I'm very excited to be speaking with our guest for today, Sonal Agarwal. She's the co-founder and design head of Campus Sutra. It's one of the biggest bootstrapped online fashion brand in the country, which is mainly targeted towards the very young audience. They have a very interesting tagline that I really love. It's called Fun Meets Young. And with tens of thousands of units being sold every day online and across their hundreds of offline retail stores, they are one of the crazy stories where they started off bootstrapped but have achieved scales which most funded startups can only dream of. They started in 2013 when the startup wasn't anywhere close to being a buzzword and online fashion was still picking up. So we've got a very unique situation on our hands today, given what the company has accomplished, and also this is something that I want to really speak about on today's podcast about the founders themselves. Usually we what we have is we celebrate kind of the unique situations where there's a couple starting up or there are two siblings that are starting up, but in Campus Sutra we've got both, and that is one of my highlights for the day. I really love that. That's such a unique built up of the team. So with that, hi Sonal, welcome to Coffee and Startups podcast. How are you doing today?
Hi Nivedan, I'm doing great.
What does Campus Sutra do? I quite, of course, I know about you guys a lot, but I really want to hear it from you about what do you think, how do you put it forward, what Campus Sutra is, what it has done so far, I just want you to go on in that.
Sure, Nivedan, I would just like to give a quick brief about Campus Sutra. Campus Sutra, the four of us co-founders started it in 2014. Today, it's the biggest bootstrap brand in India. It's a fashion brand. We are into a lot of accessories, etc. And our biggest customer or the customer base that we are touching is like, the college kids, the youth of India. One important thing is that when it comes to startup, it is not just business. It is a design-led company.
Hmm.
Uh, for brands to create the kind of impact that we are doing, they have to spend a lot on their branding. But Campus Sutra has been able to do that organically. And just to frame it in one line, we want to be the powerhouse of lifestyle brands for the world.
Wow. So yeah, I think you've defined a new word here. You want to be the lifestyle brand. And it's very interesting. I see that you've now become an accumulation of a bunch of brands, and Campus Sutra happens to be at the forefront. I mean, it's the oldest name that is stuck with. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, the idea is to become the powerhouse, have India, getting Indian brands to leave an impact globally, to be honest. That is what our your aim is. It maybe in the span of 2, 3 years, we'll be able to make that impact.
Got it. I saw your website and all the places where you're present, and I'm actually very surprised to see the immense variety that of designs that you have. It's huge. Literally, it's gigantic. The range of designs that you've produced, the kinds of clothings and everything that I've seen, it's huge, and it's not easy for any brand to accomplish. And I mean, what is the number of SKUs that you've produced till date?
I think it will be more than 40, 50,000 SKUs
Wow.
that we have done till now, and I am leaving the sizes aside.
Okay.
Yeah.
So more than 40 to 50,000 SKUs, and you're the design head of the company. So I believe that you're the one churning out this huge volume of design. That's not easy.
When the kind of support that we get from our customers and the response is good, it comes naturally. You feel like doing it for them.
Got it. So we're going to dig into I want to know about is about you. I want to know your background, where you come from, and then I want to also know a little bit about your co-founders and the team setup equation that we have, please.
uh, I'll just start off with a little bit of my background. And so, I'm from this small town called Siliguri, which is in West Bengal. Um, Amazingly bad at maths. So, the only options in school that you hear about is ki engineering. You have to do engineering or take science and become a doctor or become
Yeah.
a CA. Okay, there are three things which I didn't want to do because all of them had matched somehow. So I was like, this is not working out for me. It's, once I had just gone to Delhi and wahan pe, with my cousins, we were just in some market, and then I, saw a few students from NIFT. It was near NIFT campus only in Delhi. So, when I saw them and I thought that, okay, this is one option that I can definitely try. And without any preparation, I had no idea there were coaching classes for NIFT at that time. So, I just sat for the exams and I got through. I think that was like the turning point for me, because from Siliguri, probably I was like the first or the second one to go to NIFT. And in NIFT, it just opened my eyes. In 2000, after completing NIFT, I was a little lost कि मुझे क्या करना है. I actually did this course from IM for women entrepreneurs, because when I see design, कितनी बार क्या होता है, when even the design is good, it is not married with business acumen. So that does not work. Both of them have to come together to be able to create that synergy to become successful. So I thought that I was lacking that. And once I did this, we coincidentally things fell into place and we started this business. And it's very interesting. I'd like to tell you how the name came about. Because, as I told you, our focus is on the youth of India, the college kids. So we wanted to have that connection. So that's the name Campus Sutra, which Sutra means connection. So that's the reason we kept the name Campus Sutra, which a lot of people find very unique because, suddenly like you come up, you'll see brands which have like this one letter, one word brand names, etc., because it's catchy, etc., etc. But we found this, we thought that it kind of made an impact on us ki Campus Sutra, Campus Connect. So that's the reason we came up with the name. And then in 2014, like things fell into place. 4 of us are co-founders. Dheeraj, Agarwal, Khushbu Agarwal, Aditya, and me. The 4 of us came together.
And I want to know, how are you related?
So I'll give you a quick brief here that the reason the 4 of us came together was not because Aditya is my brother or Khushbu is my sister or Dheeraj is my brother-in-law. It's just that the 4 of us came together because our skill set were matching. Dheeraj is good with, Dheeraj is good with numbers. Khushbu is great with operations. Aditya is amazing at sales. And I was there to take care of design. And just the 4 of us fit together. And that is, the beginning of Campus Sutra.
That's quite a perfectly matched family there.
Coincidentally, we never would have thought that, this would happen. But somehow we, destiny got us together. The 4 of us are actually not from the fashion background or garment background. Garment means it's more of a legacy business, wherein people have their fathers or their uncles, etc., doing garment business, and then the next generation kind of takes it to the next level, creating a brand, etc. The 4 of us were quite clueless about it. That at times you can see it as a disadvantage, but I feel that it was a very big advantage for us.
You got a fresh slate.
Yeah, exactly. A fresh slate, a new perspective to an industry which is following the same norms from a long time. So it gives us a fresh pair of eyes to look at it and solve those problems differently.
But we're talking about 2013. I remember 2013, Amazon and Flipkart were not household. I mean, people knew about them, but they were not our biggest destination for shopping. I think Myntra was also new by then. How did you conceptualize that you want to sell something online? It was such a ridiculous idea back then.
It is being at the right place at the right time and having that eureka moment that let's try it out. So I think the first platform that we had actually gone was on Snapdeal. Back then, we were doing quite basic t-shirts, etc. Like, a collared neck, a polo t-shirts in 4-5 colors, and basic hoodies in different colors. So, we were on Snapdeal. through Snapdeal, we just got the idea that chalo, it's Amazon, like why don't we list on them? On Flipkart, etc. We were like the first brands in garment to be listed. And
Right.
so, the first sale day that we had, whenever we were refreshing now, our orders were going up about 1,000. So we are in the small office, a 400
Okay.
square feet space, and we have 5,000-6,000 orders to fulfill, and it is just the 3-4 of us. And I
Wow.
remember, how the 4 of us were like, I was packing, Khushbu was putting it in the cover, Aditya was putting the tag, Dheeraj was counting it, and it was frantic. There's a very interesting, tell you one very nice story here. So, when we had started off, हम चारों ने अपने पैसे लगाए थे कि
Hmm.
getting the stocks, etc., whatever savings we had. So what we had decided was, we wanted an office space, but we didn't want to spend too much on it.
Right, of
So
course.
bang in the middle of Bangalore, near Kormangla bus stand, we got double road. We got this office space, 400 square feet, for nearly 4,000. And the reason behind getting that was that the building was considered haunted. Okay, that
Yeah, I read this. Yeah.
it's amazingly prime location. Okay, and I don't know how it happened. And
Wow.
there are close to 100 rooms in that building. Like you have a capacity of 100 offices there, and
Oh
none
God.
were taken. Like one or two were there at the first floor, that to storefront,
The
road
people who were
facing.
crazy, people who were crazy enough of doing this to save money only.
Yeah. So we decided ki nahi, this
Yeah.
is the right place. We just have to pay a rent of 4,000, which is not paying. Chalo, let's start it off. So I think within a span of 1 year, from one room to taking up all the rooms, and even the staircase, every space was filled with our
Oh God. You turned
goods.
it into a warehouse also, basically.
Yeah, completely. It just was filled with Campus
Wow.
Sutra merchandise everywhere. That is when we decided it's better we shift to a larger space.
Yeah. No, that is actually quite a remarkable feat. Now that given all the media outlets are kind of noised and cluttered with this person got funded by this, and then suddenly now there's a new stream coming up saying, this much is the crash and who's exiting at what. It's such a frenzy out there that at times the most remarkable companies which happen to be bootstrapped, I think the media attention is disproportionately kind of split here, right?
Yes,
And
I agree. Yeah.
God knows why are people celebrating funding more than profits, which is such a weird thing for fundamentals of business here. So it's
Yes.
actually quite remarkable what you've been able to accomplish here.
Thank you.
Give me a sense of what has been the trajectory like in terms of if I were to draw a chart showing, what is the sales? Where did you start off from in the first year, and now last FY, what did the numbers look like?
So last year, but I mean the first year when we had started, our total revenue was for 4.9 crores. Now we are
Wow.
close to 400 crores.
Wow, that's 100x growth almost. 80,
Yes.
80 to 100x growth. That
Yes.
is that is something. And first year 4.9 crores again, it's big. It's big. And you were getting all 100% online sales, right? That back then.
Yeah, at that time we were very dependent on that channel. Also, because we were new. It was our
Yeah. A
exploratory
smaller
kind of
range as well.
okay, huh? So because we were I mean, like, to be honest, we were like those first brand which had gone online and we were selling,
Right.
and that was again a right time click. So it we had our mainly sales were coming through that. But in 2016-17, 17 we diverged ourselves. Now we are actually available in 500 stores across India, and we have our own D2C direct from our own website as well, which is doing a good portion. And the dependency on online platforms has definitely gone down a lot.
What fraction does your current, like your own platform comprise of within your total sales?
So there are times when it goes up and down, but close to 10%.
That's quite big actually. Yes, for an
Yeah.
online brand to have your 10% of the sales coming in from your own platform. That's
Yeah.
great. And then you, and I mean, what I noticed, one very important thing is that you have a huge variety. That is one. And you told us that it's 40 to 50,000 plus SKUs that you've designed so far. And then when I look at the prices, I'm like, how are they doing this without funding? Like, it almost seems like you've discounted the prices for consumers like us so that we can be attracted, but you're making profits out of those prices. And I'm really shocked. Like, how are you making those numbers work? So I want to understand both. How are you producing so many designs, that large variety? How is that a machine? Like how? And then how you kind of making sure that all of that is selling through again here.
So, here I'll say, if I just have to put it together in very short, is, disrupting the supply chain,
Mm-hmm.
how people look at it. Second would be focusing on quality. Third would be making sure that we are profitable at every phase. So, as I told you, this is a very legacy industry, जहाँ पे people are doing this thing कि ऐसे करना है तो ऐसे ही करना है कि
Mm.
if a shirt is getting made, the lead time for fabric is 70 days. Then you have manufacturer who's making the garment, he'll take 50-60 days. This thing has to happen, so the supply chain was very long.
Hmm.
I mean, like for us, when we were looking at
So
it,
that
and
from concept to listing was very long, basically. The time
very
to
long,
time turnaround
yeah,
time.
turnaround time. But then for others, what I see, when I was at that time, was close to 4-5 months, which seemed very weird to me.
And you
Overall,
would pass on the trends.
yeah.
Hmm.
So the idea was that when we had started, we did not really have that understanding of the industry, which turned
Hmm.
out to be very good for us because we were looking at it through a very fresh perspective. Uh, कि हमें मतलब कि our target was कि I need this in 30 days from the
Hmm.
fabric to my listing कि 30 days में करना है, it has to be done in 30 days. And how
Okay.
do we do it? Okay,
Hmm.
there were a lot of challenges which we faced initially. Getting the fabric from the right person, making sure the quality is good at the same time, then getting the production done at the same time, making sure the quality is good, though it is happening faster. So there were a lot of different issues that we were facing at different stages because also in the
Hmm.
garment industry there are too many stages, from the yarn to the fabric, etc. There are a lot of
So
issues
what is
that
the most significant part of this process? Did you modify which turned your like the tat from 4 months, 5 months to 30 days? Like you must have changed something drastically to make that happen.
So to give you an idea, there are 86 small and big changes that we've made overall in the supply chain, which has now become
Wow.
the backbone of the company.
Wow.
Uh, you know, I think the biggest change would be that we make sure that our fabric uh, is completely under our control. From yarn to fabric, that stage we've cut down the lead time by a big margin, and also making sure that all the garments are ready at some stage, that whenever it needs to be done, it is done very quick and can be made at the turnaround time.
Hmm.
Also, the second thing which I told you was quality.
Hmm.
So, once the turnaround time was something which was sorted, we felt that quality was something that we needed to focus on.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because your repeat customer is your loyal customer.
Absolutely.
If you don't have repeat customers, that means there is some problem and you
Yeah.
need to
You
resolve that.
can't keep acquiring new ones. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So after the supply chain was set, there was a time when we focused only on quality and making sure how to get those standards right. So with our manufacturing units which we have in house, we were able to achieve that by having QC at different levels. Even a garment which is even sent out from our warehouse, at the end stage where it is in our warehouse, it is sent after QC, so that whenever the customer receives a product, he or she is happy with the
Hmm.
kind of quality that he is getting. And
Got it.
the third thing was profitability. From the first day we had decided that when we are doing a business, this was just a basic instinct which anybody who's doing a business understands, is that if there is no profitability, I would be dependent only on
Yeah.
money from investors, etc., to be able to run my business. And even before thinking that कि हमें funding उठाना है, our main aim was कि profitability is the core of any business. So that is what was always in our mind. You must have heard that when pehle people used to say that creating a brand worth 4-5 crores is easy. How will you go beyond that? Then they said that 10-15 का कर लो हो जाएगा. Then it can be 100 crore का D2C बन जाएगा, etc. It's not that big a deal, etc. Now we are at 400, and our vision is to do by 20-25,000. Even though we are able to do that kind of revenues.
Wow.
And in this whole process, we have broken a lot of barriers. And that is the reason, why we've been able to create this brand.
Wow. Wow. No, so I think this is big. I think most people, when they look at a company listed online, they think first thing that comes to their head is इन्होंने brand अच्छा बनाया होगा. But your response was that नहीं, हमारा like we our back-end processes is where our backbone lies, right? How are we
Yes.
able to innovate on that? Whether it be cutting cutting the development time to making sure the quality is great at a certain reasonable price point. I think all of that is, if you really and no wonder your sub products that I've seen, they are listed at a certain price because you can afford to do that without losing money. I don't
Exactly.
think
So
it's easy to
यहाँ
make
पे
that price point otherwise.
यहाँ पे when we were discussing, when we discuss it internally also, there are two things here. One is hunting and one is farming. So I feel that when there is hunting में क्या होता है कि you go out, you are hunting someone, instant kill, and you get very happy कि I've same चीज होती है online में. जो funded company होती है जाती है, मतलब कि you are
The great
throwing ads,
hunters.
हाँ, they'll hunt, and the your graph will just suddenly shoot up. तुम
Yeah.
within that small span of time you are doing crazy numbers. But hunting is not going to hunting is not cheap, because
Yeah.
the kind of customer acquisition that you
Yeah.
have is huge. We are farmers. We have pehle humne, we've sown the seeds, we've tended the land, we've watered it, and then later, in the later stage, it is a span of some time that you get the results. So we are like farmers. We call ourselves farmers in that way because we've been able to
Yeah.
cultivate that kind of customer,
Yeah.
which is coming back buying our stuff, because getting that repeat customer or getting that review from a person कि यार यहाँ का इसका बहुत अच्छा माल है, you can just
Yeah.
go buy it. So that is the difference between, I say, what other brands are doing and what we were doing from the beginning. So
Got it.
hunting, and we are farmers in that case.
No, I think it's a perfect analogy. The hunting farming makes it very explicit. Okay, this is where our strength lies, and that's what makes us different from the other brands out there. So you now have what I think you've got a bunch of brands under your umbrella. Are all these brands targeted at the same audience, or you've entered a more broader range of customer personas?
So it's a broader range of customer personas, but we actually depend a lot on the type of customer that we already have. The target customer is still the same. Number one, एक चीज इसमें which I always feel is that अभी है ना, if you'll see, women are the biggest consumers right now. Okay, even for a lot of men, it's women who are shopping, may it be clothes or anyways, the kind of products that are there for women online is crazy. So what I feel is that people have boys who've gotten interested in doing skincare, etc., etc. A lot of it is targeted through women. Yeah, women have become like a very big base.
Yeah.
So I feel that a woman, as being a women, I can understand what they want. So that is where our strength lies. And we've been able to figure out what type of things are working. Also, this what we generally do is whenever we are launching something new, we always do a small test market कि हम ना थोड़ा बहुत वो product launch करते हैं, like we do smaller SKUs and we figure out how the kind of response is. There are a lot of times we are at doubt. You can get a lot of data, you can know a lot about your customer, but you cannot be right that if the data is saying a white t-shirt is selling, does not mean that any white t-shirt is selling. There has to be some sort of...
This is specifically interesting because I worked at Meesho before, and I used to be a category manager, and we used to experiment a lot. We used to bring on millions of products and test out what works and what doesn't. I want to know your process, since you're talking about this already. It's not easy to, I mean, nobody can claim that they can predict what's going to happen next in terms of what's going to be the next fashion statement out there. What are the kids, Gen Z, millennials, whoever the latest generation is coming up will want. When you say that you design so many, let's walk me through the steps. Like how does it go from, let's say, a broad idea and a set of a long bucket list, and from there it moves to, let's say, we've to launch 100 designs this month. Which 100 designs? How does that shortlisting happen?
So there is a lot of just to simplify it. When we were doing those things, we see the kind of searches that are happening, and what are people international एक तो trend forecast होता ही है, which you see कि अच्छा this thing is going to trend later on, but not necessarily every trend will work in India. Yeah. So that is when we all of us come together. When I say design led and business led, in a lot of companies, the design team is doing their own thing and the business team is doing their own thing. Okay? Here we marry both of them together. So, it is not just my decision, it is not just Dheeraj's decision or the Aditya's or Khushbu's. The four of us come together. We actually come, the lot of iteration goes within our office where we call everybody and we are like, do you like it, do you not like it? A lot of our all the employees in the office, all the girls and the boys are called, and we understand what are they liking. At times that is how simply we do it. At times when we see what is working, what the trend forecast is, and then we shortlist maybe there are 3 buckets that we divided in. Some which we are sure that this will work. Some there's a 50% chance. Some is like just let's see if it works, if it doesn't, it doesn't. It is more of a chance कि चला तो चला ठीक है. So that is how we usually divide it, which is I have this rule of 70 and 15 types, which we generally do that. So that is how we launch, we see, we test what is working. At times the most ridiculous thing which we think will never work is the top seller. So that is that is something which always astonishes us the most.
Yeah, that used to happen with us as well a lot. I mean, I would look at a design, and if you didn't show me the numbers, if you hid it with your hand saying, guess iska kitna sales hua hoga, I would say this design is ridiculous. No chance it's selling a single, probably one a day, and that's probably going to get returned. Right? No, then I'm looking at it, it's a top seller, weird colors, weird designs, and I'm like, wow, I'm so bad at predicting what people like.
I think me, Aditya, Dheeraj, we fight a lot on this. There will be something I'll be like, ye to karna hi hai, this will definitely work, and they'll be like, no chance, but I'll be like, no, we have to do it. So and then there will be few things I'll be like, are you serious? This does not even make sense. And then we end up launching that, and then that does very well.
Wow. So basically this happens in your office a lot, where you kind of put your foot down. I am the design head. I am the one who graduated from NIF, not you. Do you use that? Do you use that unfavor advantage, saying that this one I'm going to use my veto on, and then later on when it becomes success, do you often go back and tell them I told you so?
Definitely, and especially because they're my siblings. I'll be, I told you so. This was going to happen because you guys didn't believe me.
The question is, do you still act like siblings then, or has business changed you?
No. I think to be honest, it has brought us closer.
Wow.
You never. I mean, I keep telling them we need to take a break from each other because 6 days a week we are in office, and going on a vacation we are together. When we go on dinners we are together. I need a break. We need to break up for a few days. So it's actually fun. um, I always, initially when we had started off, we kept it very formal because, a lot of people in the office didn't realize
They were
that we are.
concerned, yeah, I'm sure.
No. A lot of people in
They,
the office didn't realize we were related.
oh,
They just thought
wow.
that we are Agarwals. Coincidentally, that we are Agarwals, and we had to tell somehow they got to know later on that, oh yeah, we are related.
So you were trying to be all like we just professionals, you know. We don't know each other too much. We are only on business terms.
No, I think that I also did not know that, people don't know that. After,
Oh,
कुछ किसी से कुछ बात हुई, and then, Aditya was doing this. I was telling them something, and I was telling him some childhood story, and they are like, how do you know that? Because he's my brother. And then they are like, we don't know this.
so you have to tell me, because I told you before this call, I love the setup that you have, and I mean, you've literally got the most unique combos together, right? I mentioned it out earlier that on one hand like there are mentions of a couple how they made this company work and blah blah blah. There are news headlines on that, and there are two siblings, for example, the Nikhil and Nitin Kamat of Zerodha story. There are many cases of that, but I don't think there is anyone out there in the country, probably even in the world, who's got your setup. You've got siblings and a couple as well. So three of your siblings, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, Khushbu's my elder sister, then it's Aditya, and then I'm the youngest. And
Right.
Dheeraj is Khushbu's husband.
Right. So at least it's almost right. We've got a couple and we've got three siblings. So
Yes.
I want to know more about this dynamic. And I told you that this is something I'm personally also very curious about because see, when I have heard this quite a lot from people that कि it is always tricky doing it with someone, doing a startup with someone who is, especially in couples, I think. Not sure about siblings. I don't think there is any association with that. So how does that work? Do you have a set of rules that you agreed on? That this is the way we're going to do business and this is the way we're going to keep our personal lives. I want to know some of these. Since you've made it this big and this far, you must have had some secrets which are probably obvious to you and not at all obvious to people like me out here.
To be honest, I'll have to think about it because I don't know. We did never really set any rule about it. But
Maybe unsaid.
now
It
when
doesn't
I
have to be.
but that's exactly now when I'm thinking about it, I realize that number one, we all actually have our works very divided.
Right. That's
And
one.
that is a blessing. It's
Yeah.
our work are supposed to go hand in hand, but they don't coincide too much.
Makes
Okay,
sense.
and then in each like say in my field, my word is the veto. Like at the end, whatever I'm saying is going to happen. Whatever Dheeraj does in his field is what is going to happen. Like at the end, we give that benefit to the person handling that department.
So you
that
respect, you define those boundaries and whose area is what, and then you respect it. I think
yes,
that is
that
the
is
ground
what
of it.
yeah. So I think that is one thing which has really helped us. For that matter, I think Khushbu Dheeraj also, they're a couple. They have now Dheeraj and Khushbu recently had their second baby as well.
Okay.
So both of them also have this thing where Dheeraj and Khushbu make sure that they're wherever if their path cross here in business, they make sure they handle it well in terms that understanding who is going to be the one taking the decision on this specific issue or something like that. So that has been good, and I think the three of us, Dheeraj is more like now, to be honest, than a brother-in-law, then more like a brother to me. So
Yeah.
I think I can fight with everybody. Being the youngest gives you that advantage. You can fight
Yeah.
with anybody and say, no, I'm not doing this, or I don't agree with you, etc. So I think I get that benefit from the three of them have to tolerate that tantrum of mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's I feel that it is because they are my brother and my sister. I think it is very easy for me to also say things at times because I am not because our relationship from childhood has not been that you're manipulating something in your head and then twisting it and saying it. Whatever you are, you say it on the face and then you are done. So
especially with your closest siblings, you're very transparent.
Yeah, and then the idea is that what happens is that resentment does not come, because
Wow.
whatever
Yeah.
is on your mind, you are able to say. Otherwise, if you take it back home and think about it or spend some time over it, that resentment will start coming in. So I think there is where
Wonderful.
we've been quite transparent with each other.
Uh, yeah. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's a very remarkable setup that you've made work, and you've shared also exactly what makes it work. So I hope that the people who are watching this and they find themselves saying, okay, should I not? Probably have more clarity.
I hope it was helpful.
Yeah, no, very much. So with this, I think we can also move on to our next section. We've spoken about, a quick snapshot about your business. How does it work? What makes you guys unique? And we spoke about the hunting and farming analogy. I think that was my
Mhm.
favorite analogy in order to
Mhm.
understand how are you guys different,
Mhm.
and also especially how have you made this it's so big, despite being bootstrapped. Now it's a big deal for people to say, oh, they're bootstrapped, right? And it's not easy to imagine how does someone fuel growth. And while the answer probably lies in the simplest of things, you got your backbone, supply chain, and all of that sorted very well, and that affects all the output that the customer gets. They're delighted. Simple, get your quality right, price right, and then delight your customer. It seems like that's the fundamental still, and you don't need to fuel that necessarily with all the VC money all the time. So that has
Mhm.
quite been insightful for us. There is I want to kick off our small little educational segment here, right? I
Yeah.
want I want a little bit pick your brains, on you have a unique background, especially
Yes.
coming from a NIFT. As a college, you got a degree there. And then you've entered business. You've also done your I think some you've also studied in IM for a while,
Yes.
right? So you've moved on from being more on the creative side of things to creative plus business side of things now, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people today, who are very creative, they struggle with turning that their interest, their passion into something which is sustainable enough at the very least, and at the very most a very successful business, right?
Mhm.
So people find this a tricky journey, and I'm sure you've had your own set of confusions, dilemmas, some sort of doubts in terms of
Mhm.
whether this is for me, weaknesses and strengths, all that analysis that goes on in our heads. We all have our overthinking phases, so you know them very well personally. I
Yeah.
I want to people who are out there who are creative. I want them to hear from you, like if they are starting off, what is it? Yeah, probably let's take the example of someone who's maybe a fresh graduate, right?
Mhm.
If they want to chart a path towards building a business, right? What would you advise them? What is it that you can help them with?
So, I actually had this opportunity to speak in NIFT about with a lot of students there. I kind of keep going for a lot of juries, etc., where I always felt there was a disconnect, you know. And after the point, even I realized that I had that when I was in college.
Yeah.
Okay, wherein I am designing something which, according to me, is outstanding. I
Yeah.
don't bother what my customer is thinking or even the
Yeah.
professor is saying, but I'm like, this is good because it's according to me, it is good. So that is where I felt that when I went for my first jury, I was in the Bangalore. It was in 2016, I guess. And when I was looking at that, it just I had that moment where I thought that I am actually at that stage where I now have the understanding about of what business is made of,
Hmm.
and now I am being able to marry it with my design.
Hmm.
So we always say that ours is a design led company, but a design will never be able to be successful until and unless it makes some business sense. So when I had gotten this opportunity, I had given this small uh, 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 lecture on understanding the business side of design. What do we need to
Hmm.
do to make sure that we are being actually we are targeting the right type of people and giving them what they want and not something that we feel that they need. Because in mostly when we are doing that, when we are just thinking about what we feel that someone needs is a individual approach. It needs to be a collective genius, you need to be open to taking a lot of inputs from people, getting a lot of feedback, understanding what the customer needs. The understanding does not come ki, मैंने बस ये कर लिया तो I got an understanding. It is a very evolving process in which you need to first of all see what you are what can be done, what is it that you can make out of anything that you have on your hand. So basically, when we talk about it, understanding business side of design, number one, I always what we believe was that now women are the one driving the consumption in the industry right now. Okay, so being a woman, I could understand that what would go. Okay, but that could be only correct to a certain point, like 30%, 40%, but the other 60-70% comes from the kind of data that you need, understanding what styles are working, understanding the trends that are coming in, seeing the response on, the launches that we do, the small launches, you understand the kind of response that you're getting from your customer. Also, there is always a monetary value which is attached to your design. Lower than that, you will not be making profit. Higher than that, you will not be selling. It has to be at that apt point which comes only when you are testing a little. Your first it does not happen that first day you are selling and you're launching and everything will sell. May it be online or offline, it is a process in which you find. But to reach that process, reach that point where you're able to find what the customer needs, or the app point for you to sell, or the kind of designs which will sell, comes through your understanding of the customer feedback, the kind of sales that you are doing, and that should be driving your business forward. You need to take into consideration that whatever you make, whatever you are trying to, it could be a service, it could be a product, it could be anything, can only be successful if you are able to, if you're agile, and you have that you have that whole synergy in which you can adapt to the scenarios. So lot of during COVID, lot of people, there are a lot of businesses which just cropped up and are doing amazingly well because they were able to understand the need at that time, try it out, go out of their way, and make sure that they were able to serve the customer and provide them with the right service or the right product. And that's the reason we saw that whole boom of D2C. D2C, we were doing D2C when the word D2C did not
you probably
exist.
didn't even know it yourself that you'll be building something which will one day be called D2C.
Exactly. So, we did not know that D2C will, D2C kuch hoga aage jaake, and we were doing that and we did not know. Now it has become very famous. But, getting that understanding ki, आपको क्या करना है. ठीक है. Second is, we as a brand focus a lot on sustainability. What people understand of sustainability is very different. Okay, हम सोचते हैं कि हम कॉटन का बैग ले लेंगे and then we are sustainable. We are not using plastic. We are sustainable. That is a very different type of an approach. अभी आप देखोगे तो there's this whole fad of using Supima cotton or bamboo cotton, etc. So, but at the end of the day, the Supima cotton and bamboo cotton की जो एक t-shirt बन रही है, one t-shirt, you are spending close to 2,700 liters of water to make that single garment.
Versus my cotton t-shirt?
Versus what we are doing, like, which is any cotton t-shirt, any t-shirt where you are making an average of 2,700 liters of water is being used in that. Wow. What we, from the year 2015, we've been working on this process in which we have spent a lot of time, and also which is called zero liquid discharge. So all the water from the yarn stage till the time my t-shirt is getting stitched, packed, cleaning, etc., everything is done and it's packed, all the water that is being used is recycled and
Wow.
reused again. So in India, in India, Ludhiana and a lot of these smaller places like Tirupur, Coimbatore, etc., where a lot of dyeing industries are there, the prices for dyeing, they've been restricted to use sort of chemicals which pollutes the water a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So the kind of dyes that are being used nowadays uh, are eco-friendly, because of which the price of garment has gone really high. And
Mm.
so what when we were doing liquid discharge, the color, you make that compromise a little, because when you're using fresh water, your color will be much brighter, your red will look
Mm.
amazingly bright, but
Mm.
we compromised on that. We always thought that making sure that the water that we are using, we are able to use it over and over again over the cycle of the of the life cycle. जैसे अपनी garment की है, वैसे the
So
same water
what is
is
the
being
amount
used
of
over and over
water on
again.
an average that you guys consume when making one t-shirt compared to the 2700 liters?
We actually are using each and every drop of water, recycling it and using it to make the next t-shirt.
So
So that is called
practically
zero
it's
liquid
close to
discharge.
none.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it is zero liquid discharge. And which makes it a little more expensive. At the same time, as I told you, the dyeing, while you're dyeing it, there is a 5% compromise on the color or the sheen that you get. But we chose that, and we've been able to, give something
Amazing.
out of it. So this is what makes us unique.
That is
So
amazing.
you need to, again, when I'm talking about the business side of design, you need to understand what makes you unique, which makes you stand out from the crowd.
So you
The third
highlighted
thing that I would like to
let's
highlight,
yeah, so one thing that your first one that you said was to understand exactly what your customers want and need, right?
yes,
It doesn't, it is not the ideal way, or it doesn't even make sense if you design something, build a product, and then try to sell it without ever inquiring your potential customers what did they really want in the first place. So
yeah, getting
always
the
kind of,
feedback, testing the
yeah.
market, yeah,
So you want to test the market, you want to understand them deeply, and then build a product and service around that need. Is the first
yes,
point that you said,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
I there was I mean I wanted to know one thing in this, that as someone who's creative and was getting into business,
Mm-hmm.
wanted to become better at business, are there any subjects or skills that if they more concretely, if they learn
Hmm.
and master, that will help them immensely, because typically something about the creative brain makes it also semi non commercial, right?
Yes.
Where you're like, I what, I'll enjoy making it, but selling is such a chore.
Hmm.
Right, so yeah.
So, Ismena, what I would like to highlight is, when we were starting it out, I had those brains where I was thinking that, okay, this is what I am making and this is what you need to sell.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing that I started doing from my end was I got into customer feedback, and
Hmm.
I was trying to understand ki, when I used to take calls, I used to understand what their problems was.
Hmm.
Second thing is that when we are doing this, we were not, I would never do the sales research कि जो sales हो रहे हैं उसके numbers crunch करना कि क्या हो रहा है etc. Then I started sitting with my cataloging team. I was seeing the kind of response that we were getting, the sell through for each garment. Uh, sustainability पे एक और एक चीज मैं ऐड करूंगी that we have 98% sell through in all of our 500 locations जहाँ पे हमारा offline है. The 2% return आता जो है ना, that overall any other brand is doing close to 80 to 82%, wherein we are doing 98% sell through.
Wow.
So that 16, 15, 16% जो हमारा extra है ना, which makes it a very sustainable business for us, because our returns itself is
That
very
is
low.
actually very remarkable. I know the average return rate in fashion is 18%. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it only 2% return rate, this is another secret sauce of yours or what? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that
Yeah.
separately. But
Huh.
I want to cover
So
this piece first. Yes.
yeah, so seeing the sell through of the products, getting involved in these
Yeah.
processes is very important.
Okay.
Uh, being in a design college, also, I felt that when I was focused towards making the product, understand मैं उस process में ज़्यादा involved थी. I was not involved in understanding कि how are we selling it, how is this thing happening. So number one is feeling everything, each and every department. When you are doing, when as an entrepreneur, even if you're alone or you have 2 or 3 people with you, you need to understand what their job is. uh, Getting the photo shoots, we did a very when you are doing on selling on Myntra, etc., you're following their guidelines. Ki this needs to be done this way, etc., etc. We 2-3 years back we completely revamped our photo shoots, and the reason behind that was that we wanted to stand out from the other brands that are there. And now we've started doing those high end photo shoots, which gives us a very global, international fashion look, which drove our sales. And this idea came to us because I got involved in that Kia photo shoot mein I'll go and see how to do it. Okay, how can we make it better? So the idea of always thinking ki, which I felt came through because I sat with my cataloging team. I saw what our brand is doing. I saw what competitors are doing, and I saw कि हमारा sell through कितना है, किसमें दूसरों का sell through कितना है. How do we make sure that we are able to reach that sell through? So that is the idea that cropped up from just understanding and sitting with my cataloging team. Okay. Then sitting with my merchandising team, so understanding their problems. That so we were doing this shirts, and there were like 12 colors in that shirt. So and for each color I had done a separate button. So once it went into production, sourcing those buttons, the cost went 2x because I was getting very small quantities. Okay. So sitting with them, I suddenly got to realize that, okay, the reason I can, a blue button will look nice, but maybe a single color button for all those 12 shirts will make sense because my cost for the same button comes down to pennies. When I am, wherein I am paying 1 rupee, I am going to be paying only 30 paisa for that, and the cost comes down, and the design compromise, to be honest, is not there. Because at the end of the day, that is not the highlight of the shirt because it was a printed shirt. So these kind of small decisions which which I took over a period of time, and now it has become inherent in me. So
so you only got a sense of that once you got involved in the different steps and got a feel of that, understood what people do, where is the scope for identifying bottlenecks and maybe identifying inefficiencies and then solving for them.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. So when I got through Lift, etc., I that the thing was behind my mind that I wanted to do something of my own, definitely not a boutique, and something which was very commercial. Okay, I wanted to make a difference at the end of the day, and I don't know how this thing just was built in me. I actually don't have that idea that
that we know from the headline. You have the Agarwal bug.
Probably.
The instinct.
so I think I had that in my mind कि कुछ commercially viable करना है, something which will make a difference, etc., etc., and this whole thing came into being. But there is a niche in creativity also, in which where people want to express themselves, and maybe keep it small. It can be something which from nowadays, in this digital age, people are doing such small things and doing really great at it because they're putting their time and effort into it. So there are two ways to go about it. MBA can be helpful to you, but you can definitely get it through experience as well. For me, it was doing that to get a better understanding, because I felt that yes, Khushbu, Dheeraj, they are all Aditya is from XIMB, Dheeraj is done it from NM and ISB, Khushbu is an ISB graduate, postgraduate, etc. So I felt somewhere that I needed to probably, to get my game right, I needed to do it. But not necessary everybody needs to do it. You can get it from experience, and also creativity is brutalized in the eyes of the beholder. Someone may find my work creative, someone may not. So that is how you need to carve out your niche and understand that where do you fit in that.
Got it. Cool. So thanks a lot for this. I want to get your thoughts on a couple of more questions, maybe bring out a few of your insights and learnings here. So
Definitely.
one question I had was, which trends are you betting big time on for the next decade? What do you think is going to shape our next decade, whether it be from your domain, wherever? What do you think that is?
But to answer your question, uh, I think sustainability is going to be a very important part of whatever we are, wherever we are heading. The reason behind it is that COVID has suddenly given that shift in the
Hmm.
everybody's mind that things are fickle, they change. So
Yeah.
overall, being at your home and suddenly realizing that we've been running in that rat race and we've not really taken the time for ourselves. So
Hmm.
sustainability is, I think, something that everybody should focus on and be able to create that ecosystem around your business, so that and the CSR that you can do to help others. So that is one trend which I feel is going to be
That, yeah. No,
definitely
that makes
big.
perfect sense. That makes perfect sense, and thanks to some of the people out there like Elon Musk with all his ventures. I think
Yes.
he's made climate change and tech around it pretty cool.
He suddenly
So
made
it's
electric car the most sexy
exactly. So
thing
he's
in the
making
world.
he's making sustainability sexy, which is
Yes,
something
exactly.
remarkable. Earlier, sustainability was like a chore. It was boring and it was
Yeah.
uncommercial. Now it's the cool trend. I don't think this one is a fad at least. Some
Yes.
materials may come which are a fad and so on, but this
But
is to stay.
sustainability overall as a concept is also very important. And you know overall I feel that there is a time when you've taken, now it is the time to give back. So
Yeah.
we ourselves are very involved in this. We have a 50% women workforce, and
Wow.
then our CSR is that we make sure that we are taking care of the education of their kids, etc. So to make sure
Wow.
that they are able to grow and do something bigger. Dheeraj actually belonged from this small village in Bihar, where he was like the first person to be able to speak English when he was young. He was
Wow.
8 8 years old. He was the first one to talk in English. So coming from that small village to
Hmm.
Bangalore, setting up this business, we actually have close to, sorry, we have close to 50 60 people from his village who are actually working with us. And they
Wow.
they started off as very small, just packing, etc. Now they are at a level where they are managing a team of 30 40 people themselves.
Amazing, amazing. This is literally like way to give back. I mean, where you come from, you're employing so many people, and they're at great positions, better positions than
Exactly.
where they started. That's something really
And
remarkable.
from where me, Khushbu, and Aditya belong, we've actually set up a warehouse in Siliguri for our fulfillments, one of our fulfillment centers there, so that we are able
Yeah,
to provide the people uh, work there as well. And
yeah. I've
in
got
Bengal
family. I've
overall,
got family in Siliguri. I'm Marwadi myself, so I've got
okay,
family in Siliguri, and I know it's a small place.
Rathi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've heard about that place. I've never been there yet, but I know that it's a smaller town, and
Yeah.
you set up a warehouse there. That's amazing. So the one more question that I have is, what is that one thing which was the hardest for you while doing this business, and why?
So it could be, there are two, 3 things. Two things here. One was more on the personal side, and one was more
Mm-hmm.
on the business side, I feel. So the hardest thing for me was, I felt as a creative person, you need that time for yourself to think,
Hmm. Hmm.
to have that laid back attitude, because you don't want to pressure yourself into doing
Yeah.
something. This needs to be done, ये मुझे अभी
Stress
करना
kills
है.
creativity.
हाँ
Pressure
हाँ,
kills creativity.
exactly. So I tried, initially I found it very difficult, to be honest. कि ये करना है, this is the timeline, this, and I used to be like, yeah, मतलब that is not how my mind works. But coming into the industry, I realized that a lot of times that is not seen as a strength, but as a very big weakness. That
Hmm.
you're not reliable, you're not doing things on time, etc., etc. So I think that was one thing which I really took time
Wow.
to get adjusted to, and then be able to deliver. So that personally was a big challenge for me, I think initially for a year, where I used to strive a lot, and then figuring out how to make ends meet, and things
Wow.
are ready before time. So that was one thing which I felt. And the second thing which business wise, which was very difficult uh, for me, was again, it was more related to time management. I think I was very bad at it. So business wise, understanding that how much amount of time you need to allocate to some work,
Yeah.
some team, etc., which I found very difficult. Initially, this was more of a personal journey for me to evolve from a designer to becoming a part of design and
Yeah.
understanding what needs to be done, what needs to get done.
Great.
So
I've led a
personally, I
design
think
team. I've led a design team before, and I know what all my design team used to say. They hated the time pressure, and I hated to be that guy who sometimes, kind of put that pressure. Now you're in that position where
yeah.
you've got probably a team of designers who sometimes you deliver on time. So you at least come from a place of empathy on
Yes.
that, right?
Also, there is this pressure on you where uh, when you're doing a when you are doing a job, or maybe you're focusing only on one area of expertise, that you don't have that. I feel that I had that pressure when I'm you're running a company also, and then you have to work, that you have to come up with creative solutions, and what next, that kind
Yeah.
of pressure. Initially, when you have that, it takes up a lot of your mind space.
Yeah.
At times, when even when you're working on your mundane jobs during the day, that pressure is something which will which will like weigh down on you, and make sure that your day is not that productive. So getting that right, कि आप next क्या कर रहे हो, that also you are able to envision that, and be able to execute it as well in the time frame, is something which I learned, and I've been able to some extent achieve.
We've had a bunch of our questions on this. This is the last section of our podcast today.
Yeah.
This is the rapid fire question set. These are simple. Okay.
Yeah.
Name one person that who you really really admire.
Basically, I think on a personal level, it would be my mother.
Wow.
My mom has been a very big inspiration. As I told you, like from the small town, uh, but then my mom used to take care of the three of us, go to office, help my dad. We had a factory. She used to take care of it, come back home by 5:36. Then take care of us
Wow.
again. She had a busy schedule, but she always had that did that with an amazing smile on her face. So
Wow.
I think with the kind of background that she got, from a small town, etc., never having that exposure, not getting any higher education, when she was able to do that, I felt that we owe it up to her, that she's given us the opportunity to go out, study. I need to do something which to prove it to her that yes, mom, we are your kids.
Awesome. No, that is
Yeah.
amazing. You watch the Shark Tank India show?
Yes, I did,
You
but
did, right?
four,
Yeah.
five, 3, 4 episodes, not many.
So I just want to know who was your favorite Shark Tank judge?
See, I tell you, मैं नाम भूल जाती अश्नीर ग्रोवर मतलब वही I found all his comments, etc., very nice. He was overall entertaining, so that's why I liked
And
it.
should I also assume as a
Masala.
boot? Yeah, yeah. No wonder he's given the most content to Shark Tank India.
Yes.
They're the happiest with him for sure.
हमें कहीं ये
And
दोगलापन नहीं चलेगा.
also, I think you would have a bias since you're bootstrapped. You must love the word dhanda, right? कि क्या
Yeah,
startup कर रहे हो?
yeah.
धंधा है.
नहीं वो
Okay.
दोगलापन नहीं चलेगा.
Yeah, the Doglapan has become a meme. It's the most
Yeah,
used meme
exactly.
now.
Uh,
Right. So no wonder. Yes. So Ashneer is your favorite Shark Tank judge,
yeah,
and
because reason
yeah,
behind that, he is entertaining.
no
Yes.
wonder. Who's your least favorite Shark Tank India judge?
ये basically ना ये मेरा area of expertise नहीं है, so I'm out.
We know. And then, what is one quirk of yours that you think your friends or colleagues know of and they often laugh about?
That I don't remember anybody's name. I always forget it. But I will be talking to people. I will have like full blown conversation for 1 hour, and then I will be like, oh God, इसका नाम क्या था? And everybody knows this.
Wow. Amazing. And just to end, this rapid fire, the last question is, what is one annoying thing that non-creative and non-artistic people don't get, right? And that really annoys you.
It takes time.
Oh, yeah,
It
that's a
takes time.
universal. Yeah.
Yeah.
End our rapid fire section here. I think it was quite fun, and I'm going to end this with a very stupid section that I've decided to add for your starting with this
Sure.
podcast. Actually,
Okay.
it's a tongue twister, and you're supposed
Okay.
to say it at least 5 times straight.
Okay, wait, let me drink
So
some water.
drink all the water you can.
Meaning, because I've been talking
Yeah.
from such a long time, my tongue is in action. Tell me.
So it's the simplest of all tongue twisters, okay? The tongue twister is upper roller, lower roller. You have to say this at least 5 times.
Upper roller, lower roller, 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 upper
Wow.
roller, lower roller.
6. Okay, you win this one.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So I'll give you one.
Okay.
She sells seashells on the seashore, but the seashells which she sells are not the
This sounds like
seashells.
this sounds like a memory test. This sounds like a memory test. Please give me a small one.
She sells seashells on the seashore.
Got it. Let me first say it out normally.
Huh.
She sells seashells on the seashore. This is what I
Yeah.
have to say, right?
Yeah.
Okay. She sells seashells on the seashore. 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 5.
Good. Yes.
Cracked it.
So I used to say that, in our convent, this was an exercise which we had to do in class. So one
Wow.
of our English teacher used to make us say this 10 times. If that was a punishment if you got a grammatical mistake.
Wow, that sounds
Yeah.
like not so bad a punishment, honestly. It's just
Nee,
a
nee, but
little
the-
blooper for the
the-
class
but
to
the-
laugh, I guess.
No, but the ear twisting that you got, if you were getting wrong, she would hold your ear, and then you are saying this whole sentence, and you have to repeat it 5-6 times. And if you're making a mistake, she'll twist it a little more.
It should.
So that
So
was really
technically,
good.
what she was doing was not a tongue twister; it was an ear twister.
They twist her, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So I had a lot of fun doing this podcast. I think with this we are ending
Same here.
all our sections. Yeah. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it is usually talking about business and startups gets beyond a point gets boring, right? We've spoken for an hour. So
Yes.
I'm doing this. A lot of different things. I'm trying out different things, and I love trying those out. A couple of new ones with you here. So I really enjoyed it. I think you brought out the story of your company very well, how it all started, right? Your personal journey, especially, I think must be more unique to people, especially given this startup, right? Because you are a design first company and you're leading the design team here. I think so. A lot of responsibility lies on your shoulders. God knows, I still don't know how you're producing tens of thousands of designs. To me, it is incomprehensible, right? Especially as someone, I consider myself half baniya, half product guy, right?
Okay.
where my design has always been more like user interface and experience design kind of thing. So I'm good with that kind of design, but I had no idea how are creative people, artistic people doing this. Like I'm very baniya at thinking कि ये कैसे कर रहे हैं लोग and I can understand my uncles who like कि बेटा तुम photography करते हो शौक के लिए ही करते होंगे, right? So it's that बनिया आया है.
हाँ.
So to hear your story of how you moved from being a creative to getting a hang of so much detail of your business, there's a lot there is. You're now sitting on a big scale and you've done a lot of innovative things, whether it be in the supply chain and optimizing the timelines, quality, whether it be, you talked about sustainability. You're saving so much water, 2,700 liters per t-shirt, and you're saving most of it. You said zero liquid discharge, right? If I'm correct, that's
Yes,
a term.
yes.
I think these
ZLD.
are all phenomenal things, and I don't know if enough fashion brands are being that conscious today, right? And especially doing all of that being bootstrapped, it's actually a remarkable feat.
When it's your own money, you get very innovative.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. With a
Yes.
lot of money, you think money can solve the problems, and you shove more of it. I think that's the common challenge that founders have. I think it's a very very weird kind of challenge. They get the fanciest offices right after the fundraise, right, to attract the best talent and so on.
Yes.
While the real hustle lies in the early days, being frugal. I worked in setups where we didn't have a micro. I literally ate my lunch cold for an entire year. Right? So I've
So,
did it and on happily, like I never complained. I was like कि यार अपन माइक्रोवेव ले लेते हैं and he's like 5,000 रुपए लगेंगे. मैंने कहा हाँ बात तो सही है रहने देते हैं.
no, I think we've had lot of those phases where we didn't have a
Yeah,
fridge in our office, etc.
yeah.
But when you are enjoying something, after a point of time, it does. These things don't matter.
Maybe. And you can actually say that because your first office was literally in a haunted building.
Hundred
Supposedly
building,
haunted building.
yes,
So that
yes.
is that this is for people I mean
No,
I'm going to
to be
yeah.
honest, I am very scared. Okay, I'm like I don't know the Z horror show Ahat when these series used to come. I used to be inside 2-3 blankets with cotton stuffed in my ears because I was that scared of it. So when these guys told me it is a haunted building, I'm like I'm not going to stay there alone ever. You guys have to be there. One of you can't go on a meeting. All the three of you can't go. I won't be alone in the office. That was my one condition initially. That I
Nobody
can't
played
stay
a
alone.
prank. Nobody ever played a prank on you in the evening.
No. I somehow I got saved that. Though it was my brother and sister, but I somehow got saved from that.
With all that revenue, what you're having less is fun. But no, I think they were smart enough. They're like कि एक बार डर गई तो पता नहीं वापस
हाँ फिर मैं
वापस
वापस
में
नहीं
आएगी नहीं
आऊंगी.
आएगी. Fair enough. Very calculated decision actually. But no, it was great learning about the entire journey, I think, and I will also share the link to especially this particular article, which is a little older, but I liked it. So I'm going to share that the Agarwal Instinct article with the video as well. And I liked how they had worded out, they articulated about the team.
Yeah.
So,
Also,
and
I think I forgot to mention that we've recently gotten the Economic Time D2C award for best
wow,
fashion brand. Yeah.
amazing! Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're
I
literally like the
sent.
biggest bootstrap fashion brand in the country. And you started off when D2C wasn't a word, when online fashion sales wasn't a commonplace activity. So it's a huge thing. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we can wrap up our session today. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Sonal.
Thank you so much, Nivedan. I really enjoyed it. I'm very bad at. I feel that I get very nervous, but talking to you was a lot of fun.
Oh,
And I just did not feel कि यहाँ interview चल रहा है मेरा कि मुझे क्या बोलना है थोड़ा calculated होना पड़ेगा. I was very
no.
candid throughout. I feel.
Okay, thank you so much. I really take that compliment.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed this. So thank you so much again for coming. I loved our entire chat too. I think we had a lot of fun as well doing this. So with this, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you everyone who's been watching this. This is Nivedan again from Coffee and Startups, and Sonal is our guest today from Campus Sutra. She's the design head. So thank you, Sonal. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.